Hey, me, Makari. You joined Discord and Twitch. Hey, thanks, bye. So, some of you may remember that, like, oh god, how long ago was it? Like 4 or 5 months ago, Twitch tried in their best interest to add equality and all that kind of notion to the channel, to the platform, that they tried allowing artistic nudity, which, in idea, was a great thing. It would mean that people would have the ability to draw titties and nipples with all the endeavored nature of trying to help nurture their brand and all that jazz. However, as many of us are aware, that didn't go quite the way that we wanted it to, because unfortunately, all those lovely cam girls and all those other kind of less than good actors decided to take the hand of generosity that Twitch was offering us and literally bite it off and then start sucking on the stump. So, Twitch says, we want to be a welcoming place for everybody, and recognize that content enjoyed by some may not be good fit for others. Today, we're rolling out 2 new content filtering and blurring tools that give you more control over your viewing experience. Hide content labeled with CCLS. Choose whether you see content labeled with content classification labels when browsing and searching on Twitch. Thumbnail blurring. Blur out preview thumbnails of content labeled with sexual themes. Now, this is awesome. This is what should have been instigated originally when we had the cam service site. Now, I don't know about you, but Twitch has been in a weird state over the last couple of years in this sentiment. They've been flip-flopping so hard. They've never chosen a lane with this, and it's been one of the most confounding things about the platform in regards to them saying one thing one moment, another thing another moment, and then having one rule for one person and one rule for another. Now, in of itself, I love the concept of having slightly more sexual content on Twitch. It is a platform, and a lot of people do use that to make money. And a lot of people are going to say it's virtue signaling, enabling people to do that kind of stuff. But the problem isn't necessarily with the fact that people do this. And let's face it, it is a thing that, you know, cam girls do exist, and I'm afraid to scare you guys, but boobs do exist on the internet. What we wanted for the longest of time is for Twitch to pick a lane, and we were hoping when they put those rules in back in the day that that was their way of saying, hey, yeah, no, we're totally okay with this. But they didn't quite they woefully underestimated people's yearning to capitalize and push the limits to their utmost. Lest we go back and look at all that nonsense again. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I load up Twitch sometimes at the moment, I mean, Christ, we can probably do this right now. When I load up Twitch sometimes and I go into, and I start browsing any of these random categories, especially like certain ones, you know, you load up ASMR and all of a sudden, oh, it's actually active already. Shit. Well, there you go. Like, prior to this, and to be fair, even now in some respects, I still kind of think this, I get very disconcerted sometimes when I load up Twitch and there's some of the most heinously, gratuitously naked ladies I've seen. And that's great. Awesome. I love that. But it makes me wonder, you know, if I have to question, have I loaded up the right website? Whenever I load up Twitch, like, if I load up Twitch and I think to myself, wait, did I open X videos? It kind of becomes a problem. And I think there's a big issue here where the people who complain about this stuff are worried that they're virtue signaling and that, you know, oh, we can't have this on our website or whatever. But at the end of the day, you are going to have this kind of content no matter what. So Twitch have been trying to figure out a way to make this work for the longest of times. And the biggest problem has been it's a dichotomy. On one hand, they either have to go super hard at putting these rules in place and then allow none of it, but that would require them to then have moderation in order to, like, keep it under control, which works so long as you're able to instigate the rules fairly and consistently, which they were not doing. On the other hand, you allow it, but if you're going to allow it, you then need to update and allow the platform to be run in a way that is considerate to this kind of content. So when they originally allowed artistic nudity, they didn't do this. And I said, I made a whole speech about this back when this happened originally. If you want to allow sexualized content on Twitch, you have to either take responsibility or put in systems that allow the viewers to choose what they see. Because Twitch's problem is they don't want to be held responsible for other people's misdeeds. And this allows them to do exactly what I was suggesting all the way back when originally. It means that if you are clicking any of these like filtered channels, any of these blurred out channels, you are acknowledging that by clicking that, you are of age to watch that content. You are obfuscating Twitch's responsibility and taking it upon yourself to say, yes, I am of the age to watch this, and that I am acknowledging that it is my responsibility for seeing what is here. That way, it allows people to know what they're getting themselves into. And let's face it, you know, this is mostly and I don't want to, oh god, I'm gonna sound like such an asshole to say this. This is mostly a woman moment, right? You know, you get a couple dudes here or there doing the same kind of thing, but this is, in essence, the theming of camgirl services. And this is mostly, popularized through, you know, the ASMR category. I mean, let's take a look at hot tubs and pools, the hot tubs and pools category for a moment, because I can almost guarantee you it's going to be just as blurry, shall we say. Man, the hot tubs and pools category really took a hit, didn't it? But the case in point, very much the same. I do also wonder, it's going to be very interesting to see how this sort of gets adopted into other categories, because one of the biggest culprits for why this idea of artistic nudity didn't necessarily work originally was because people in the art category were taking every opportunity to draw lolicon and things that were considered very taboo, but not quite TOS enough to get themselves banned. So yeah, I suppose it's really nice to finally see Twitch taking a goddamn lane with this, which means we will finally be able to draw the boob on Twitch without necessarily worrying about whether we get banned or not. This blurred thumbnail stuff should have been done long ago. Yeah, no, abso-fucking-lutely. This is the level of moderation that the platform has needed. And I actually spoke to a Twitch staff member yesterday, and I even said this. I would happily work for Twitch. I know the general vibe for the platform. I know how people feel about things. I understand the way this kind of stuff needs to work. I've been part of content creation for 15 years. This is the stuff that I've seen on other platforms. People like smut. And if you want to capitalize on the broadest spectrum of content, allowing mature content is a way to make the platform work. The problem is when you don't distinguish the line as to what is acceptable and what isn't, people will very much always take advantage of that. And there's some very disingenuous people who will always try and push the boundaries for the sake of their own monetary gain. But now we have the distinction between what is sexualized and what isn't. Which, honestly, big W for Twitch. Big W. Now my real question is, how long is it going to be before they go back on this? It is about time, though. It is really about time. I love the concept of it. I love the idea, the fact they're doing this. I mean, there is an underlying, I don't want to say ethical, because it's not necessarily ethical, but like equality thing going on here, where people are going to be hounding the females because it's like, again, the virtue signaling and kind of hounding for the sexualized content. The only thing they could do to make this even better is if, rather than having the feature of just having the blurred thumbnails, have an option somewhere that removes these entirely. Like, if you are someone who's slightly younger, maybe that's not stuff you want to have on your platform. Because the problem is now is that this muddies the pool. If you don't want to see NSFW content at all, as a viewer, it would be great if there was an option that any channel that is labeled as NSFW were just removed from the directory entirely. Because you go to like the just chatting category, for example, and you think to yourself, how many channels are being pushed down because there are just channels that are basically pseudo cam service cam service channels. Like imagine like the just chatting category may not be the best example of this, but you can kind of see my point. Imagine 1, 2, 3. I mean that's 3, 4 channels, which means there's 4 people that have been pushed even lower for content that isn't necessarily relevant for most people's viewing interest. So really, I would like to think that the platform is kind of going in a good direction. It's nice to see them trying to enact change. It's nice to see them trying to make the platform more moderated, I hope. There needs to be like more clear-cut distinction of, yes, this is what we're allowing. No, this is what we're allowing. But hey, who knows? Maybe this just means we'll start finally be able to do our own